good Saturday morning. Holy Christ, it's Saturday and we're here. Scott Reid, Jenni Byrne, Nick Taylor-Vasey on a Saturday morning, the day after the Riders laid a fucking beating on the Argonauts. Take that bird and stuff it up here, whatever. All right, so.
Wait.
Here we are.
Wait. David?
Yeah.
David, Jenny, Nick, I'm very sorry, but I've been thinking before we even get to Nick's very treasured segment, I just want to say I had a little something. Nick's shaking his head. We love you, Nick. We love you. We love you like Betty loves Archie. Don't worry, we're there. But I had a little something I was thinking about. Since this is our weekend edition of the pod, it's kind of like our weekend update, which made me think we should not let this opportunity to give one last tribute to the great Norm Macdonald, friend, brother to our friend Neil. We shouldn't let this opportunity give one last tribute to him. And so I was thinking, I'm going to try this. So just bear with me 1 second, okay? Judge Lance Ito came in for some criticism this week. And legal experts said that he ought to stop giving so many media interviews while the O.J. Simpson trial is still ongoing. Lance Ito said, yeah, you're probably right. I'm wrong. Could affect the outcome of the trial. But, at least I didn't kill my wife and some waiter. So, God love you, Norm. We will miss you. And Donald O'Meara, go fuck yourself wherever you are.
You pinhead.
Yeah. Sorry, Nick.
Hey, Nick.
Whose bedroom are you in today?
Yeah, follow that, Nick. Go
are we
ahead.
Actually, we were recording this whole time. Interesting. Okay, cool. Yeah, great. I'm totally with it. I didn't get drunk last night. I'm feeling fine.
Add value to this podcast right now, Nick. I'm serious.
What would you like to know?
Well, at least tell us where the fucking leaders are going to be.
My. Where are they? Where are they going?
Can I just start with a few headlines just to color my experience of this morning? I see a few headlines today. Majority of federal conservative candidates won't disclose COVID-19 vaccination status.
Smart.
UCP Constituency Association demands review of Premier Jason Kenney's leadership. Conservative candidate dropped by party over Islamophobic tweets, says she's still running as a Tory. A vote for the People's Party is like a vote for the Liberals.
Nick,
are there Spadina.
Nick, are there any headlines for the Liberals in Spadina, Fort York? Because this is seeming like a bit of a fucking beat on right now.
I think you got to balance that out. I think you got to be fair.
I think he's just reading National Newswatch.
That's very true. That's exactly true.
These are the news of the day that Bruce Anderson thought of when he got up this morning. Yes.
She's dipped her blade in poison this morning, folks.
Man, the next sentence out of my mouth was Toronto Liberal candidate who paused campaign under review by military over dropped sexual assault charge. It feels like a weekend where.
But wait a second. If you're guilty, if you're accused of sexual assault, who would you rather have investigating it than the military?
Fantastic.
Boom!
Yeah, into it. That is a mic drop.
But doesn't this just feel like Jesus Christ? Like what a final weekend of a campaign where.
And none of it. The great thing about it, Nick, is none of it matters. Like at this point, everyone's just kind of like every headline I see or something that sends me people that send me shit now, I shrug and I'm like, yeah, okay. I'm more worried figuring out what I'm going to wear to not clash with Scott on Monday and his Green Lantern suit.
Yes. I'm 100% with you, and it's not just the hangover speaking. It's just what a mess of headlines. Oh man. Should I tell you where the leaders are going though?
Absolutely.
Yeah. Well,
I didn't notice any headlines about climate change, childcare, debt deficit.
The forward for relentless. No relentless headlines?
No.
Relentless Liberals surge to giant lead.
Look forward to the Ottawa playbook on Monday morning for all the issues we didn't talk about. That's not today, because today I get most of the day off. But that's, I think, a very good point. There's no issues left. But okay, leaders, where are they going? So as usual, Justin Trudeau doesn't say too much about where he's going, but he's going to be in Aurora, Ontario.
So he's not down today. rest of the campaign, he's been down today, but he's not down today.
You can't be down on the final weekend, though.
No way.
Aaron O'Toole's in
Wait till I get
Dundas,
to the numbers.
Ontario. So that's a pretty liberal seat.
Where is he, sorry?
He's in Dundas.
Well, no, but we hold
Dundas.
that Dundas is Flamborough-Glamberg. Like that's
That's
David
outside
Sweet's
of
seat.
Hamilton.
Well, I guess it depends on the boundaries you're looking at. I don't know. But anyway, yeah, so
But Dundas, I think, is though in the Conservative seat that's been held since 2004, is it not?
I thought it was in Philomena Tassie's riding. But,
Maybe.
But
Okay.
what am I, and I hate to repeat this, a hungover man on a Saturday morning in Toronto.
It's just awful scribe.
Then Aaron O'Toole is going to, and I hate to boast, because I know I did this already this week, but he's going to Kitchener Centre, and he has an event at the very same hotel where I spent 2 nights, the Crown Plaza in Kitchener.
He's shadowing you.
I think at this point, Scott, they all are, and I take full credit for all of their leaders' tours.
Lock that door. There's going to be a knock soon.
No
But
kidding. When we get through the numbers, you're going to realize there's a prospect that Aaron O'Toole's next stop is Nick's parents' house in Scarborough. It was steep in the basement for a while.
Finally, I have a reason to listen to this podcast after I close the window. You're talking about Scarborough?
Oh, don't start pretending now.
But honestly, Kitchener Centre, I can't wait. I know that it's not going to shift the balance of power in Parliament, but I can't wait on election night to see how that goes.
No, you're right. It's going to be extremely interesting. Like who would have thought it would be a Green NDP Conservative split, like a switch riding.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And Jagmeet Singh is going out west. Saskatoon, Regina, Edmonton, Cranbrook. I don't know how many provinces that is, but it's more than one. And so he's hitting up a few places where they're hoping. Yeah, it's 3. The answer for the listeners is it's 3.
What is
Hungover brain.
He's going. I thought that was 2. Where else is he going? He's Saskatoon, Regina,
Edmonton, and then he's going to go into BC for Cranbrook. Yeah.
They claim they're taking 2 seats in Edmonton. They claim they're winning 2 seats in Edmonton.
I think 2 seats could be up for grabs in Edmonton. I think they've won, like Strathcona they'll keep, but I'm not sure if the splits come down to them winning the second seat in Edmonton if the Conservatives lose it. Cranbrook's interesting, and I've actually heard that they're in play in one of the Saskatoon ridings, west, I think it is.
Saskatoon West, yeah, and they have their heart set on Edmonton Griesbach for sure. They've been there already.
That's Kerry.
This pandemic meltdown in Alberta and Saskatchewan is a huge wild card in the last week of this campaign, to the detriment of Conservative candidates across the board. I would imagine that NDP and some Liberal candidates in those 2 provinces are feeling wind they haven't felt all campaign long.
Well, and I mentioned earlier this week on the pod, kind of the election readiness of on the ground of Conservative candidates in Edmonton or in Alberta is less so than what ones would be further east.
Randy Boisseau, bring it home, brother. All right, thank you, Nick. We've been bantering for 10 minutes now. We got to move on.
All right.
Get a bagel.
See you guys on Monday.
See you,
bright and
buddy.
early.
Yeah, see ya. Thank you, brother.
Bye.
Thanks for Saturday. Thanks for coming out on a Saturday.
Yeah, of course. Any Saturday you want me. I guess the answer is there are no more of those.
I'll try not to abuse that.
So, David, we don't have as hard a stop today, do we? That's why I feel we're bantering a little bit more.
All right. Well, we'll stretch it maybe a bit. But, people are waiting.
Yeah, Metal's got to engineer it all. He's like, yeah, talk forever, assholes. Just, nobody else has to do any work around here.
Sorry, Metal.
Okay, let's go. You've been teasing. You're going to drop a bowl of eggs on us. Let's see.
It's a big fucking deal.
Okay.
Liberals 31. Conservatives 28.
Ooh.
27-7 to be precise. NDP 20. Greens 5. People's Party 9.
Ooh.
Bloc Québécois 7. Ontario, last 3 nights.
This is going to be a hammer blow.
Liberals 39. Conservatives 26.
Whoa!
NDP 22.
Whoa.
Greens 5, People's Party 7.
Well, fuck.
That's
I have a hard time believing we're at 28% nationally.
26% in Ontario. Jesus, my mom would say, the ass has moved out of O'Toole's pants. He's gone.
Jenny, the last 3 nights in Alberta, it's only 140 cases, so it's got a plus or minus of 8 points, so take it with that grain of salt. Last 3 nights in Alberta is Conservative 39.
What are the People's Party?
21.
Jesus. And I bet you're right.
Liberals 20. Liberals 21, NDP 13.
Oh, really? Do you have Quebec numbers there, David, that you feel are reliable enough to cite on this extremely authoritative podcast?
300 cases in the last 3 nights, plus or minus 5 points. Liberals 27, Conservative 16, NDP 15, Greens 3, People's Party 7, Bloc Québécois 30.
Now, as our friend Robert pointed out to us, not everybody agrees with those numbers in Quebec, right? The GA has a much more declarative lead for the Bloc.
What was it? I thought it was only 32-30 or something like that.
Oh, was it? I thought it was
what
bigger
were the
than
Leger
that.
numbers?
Let me just have a look. I've got them here.
Anyway, it's obviously clear.
Yeah, you're right.
33-32.
33-32, so I'm wrong. Okay.
It's obviously clear that this Alberta thing has been a fucking catastrophe for the Conservative vote.
Yeah.
This thing has, I'm assuming that, but I can't think of anything else that's happened that would have had this kind of impact on the electorate.
Well, it's the votes coalesced. I think it's easy to say that it's the Alberta thing. I'm not sure it's actually the case.
All right.
We were headed in this direction prior to Jason's announcement in Alberta.
I think it's had I just, sorry to differ, but I think it's obviously had to have had a catalyzing effect. I just think, and it's what we've talked about the last couple of days. Campaign's ending on the issue of the pandemic. It's issuing on, and obviously we got the Spadina thing, and I hope we talk about it because it's got to be a really awkward thing on the final weekend. But the dominant discussion right now is about pandemic. It's about lockdowns. It's about vaccinations. 85% of O'Toole's candidates aren't vaccinated, or won't say if they're vaccinated. I just feel like all of this, it's all the worst possible ground for him to be arguing on.
Yeah, I don't disagree on a few things that you said there. In terms of the 85% of candidates, though, I actually don't believe 85% of Conservative candidates aren't vaccinated. I think the vast majority of them are vaccinated. It's obvious that it's obvious that the war room has decided that they think it's smarter for everyone to not respond instead of being one of the 15% that actually responded. That's what it smells like to me, because
I agree.
Basically every candidate I have spoken to is vaccinated, and I speak to a lot of fucking people.
That all makes sense to me, and it highlights, just for people who sort of go, oh, well, how stupid are they? It highlights, when you're at this point, it highlights a really awful choice that's available to them, right? So the war room can say, just don't answer it, because we don't want to confirm, we don't want to flush out the 15% of candidates or whatever it is who aren't vaccinated and then have them named and create that as they get chased around the barnyard for the last weekend of the campaign. Or we take this 85% headline because we just simply refuse to answer. But all of this, in my view, is, it's a product of a strategic decision they made at the outset of the campaign about this issue of vaccinating candidates. As far as I'm concerned, they strapped a grenade to themselves at the beginning of the campaign. They pulled the pin, and it's only now exploding. And it was predictable, and they just decided, you know what, we're going to be able to make this campaign about something other than vaccinations and the pandemic. And that's turned out to be wrong. And I think it's going to have a devastating effect on this last 2-3 days.
If I was running a local campaign now, I would do the exact opposite of what I ever would have said when I was running national campaigns. If I would have my local candidate absolutely confirm on the record, totally vaccinated, life goes on.
Yeah. Get out to the Babel Intelligencer and tell them we're vaxxed here.
Yep.
In Prince Edward Hastings. Little hometown plug for me.
Still going strong here, Herle Burleites, on our little series on perception versus reality. This is damn it, I've lost track. Let's call it number 23. One of my favorite numbers because it was Ronnie Lancaster's. If you don't know who the great Ronnie Lancaster was, I can't help you. The perception. Curse of Politics is 3 veteran strategists who spout deeply considered insights seemingly at will. Reality. We record the show at 6:30 every morning. I set the alarm for 5, do 1 push-up, then drink a gallon of coffee. Without that, I can't even form a complete sentence. The perception is that our presenting sponsor, TELUS, is a telco. But TELUS is actually a technology company, one with a social purpose. Case in point is TELUS Agriculture, the largest agriculture technology business in the world. Their vision is to digitally connect all the players in what was literally the most siloed and analog of industries. From seed to farm to fork and all the constituents in between, transportation, warehousing, wholesaling, retailing, and more. Why? Because feeding the planet in the coming years is going to require a 70% increase in production. To achieve that, the industry needs better collaboration, enriched data sharing, and streamlined operations and efficiencies. TELUS Agriculture makes all of it happen, and the yield is extraordinary. The way we grow and get our food will be safer and more sustainable, economically, environmentally, and socially. TELUS Agriculture is already in more than 50 countries and works with 9 of the 10 top agricultural customers in the world. It's telling. While their competition spends big money on sports teams and media properties, TELUS would rather focus on investing in technology in industries like agriculture, healthcare, and more. To do some good, go to TELUS.com to learn more. I don't mean this to be partisan. I mean this to be the antithesis of partisan. I'm speaking as somebody that's been in this position. But the people running the Conservative campaign today, when you look at a situation and you know it's fucking over and there's nothing you can do anymore about it. And that's just, oh my God, it's a horrible day. Such a horrible, helpless feeling of failure. I mean, I'm saying this in terms of how I have felt in those circumstances. You feel like you've let everybody down. You feel like, it is shitty. Publicly exposed as a failure and a fraud, and you've let your party down, and you let your leader down, who's probably your friend, and fuck, it's just a grim day. Yeah,
listen, David, I'm with you. 2015, I woke up in cold sweats thinking about that election for years afterwards. But what you've got to do in this situation is you barrel down and you figure out what you actually can change. So for me, I actually went riding by riding, and I've told the Fred, I've talked about my friend in Atlantic Canada who I called and said, I'm shifting a bunch of resources. I'm paying for this amount of voter ID or GOTV at the end. And he got off the phone. He said to his wife, that was Jenni Byrne. She's going to help with GOTV. And she's like, that's fantastic. That's really nice of Jenni. And he goes, no, it means I'm fucking losing my seat is what it means. And he did. He did lose his seat, but he was in a riding where we never should have been worried about. He's an MP now, and he will be fine. He was an MP at the time. He's an MP now. He wasn't for 4 years. So at this point, if you're in any war room where you think you're losing, you've got to figure out exactly, like, it is now seat by seat by seat. And as we have said before, this election, more than any that we have seen in the history, is going to go down seat by seat. It's the reason Aaron O'Toole's in Kitchener Centre. This weird split that we have now that the Liberal doesn't have a candidate there. There's no Liberal candidate, and so I think that if you're the war room, you're kind of shaking the cobwebs out, and you are figuring out what you can do in the next 3 days to bring home a few more seats.
Absolutely. That God love you. You're strong. I am weak. And that's not how I handle the last 2-3 days when I know the balloon has burst. And, when you're one of the, like, first of all, like, I'm not a field marshal. I'm not somebody that says, okay, well, let's move these many resources. I don't have that competency. I don't know what to do. What do? Like, I write words. Great. I'm a big lot of fucking help when the gig is up with 2 days to go. So I remember 2006 in particular, and everybody who's left, right, is we all go to Montreal with Paul at the tour, and you're left there on that final day. You're going to lose on that day. And it's just you feel like such a failure. You don't want to leave the room, and everyone's sitting around doing riding by riding, right? That's what everyone does all day long. They obsess on riding by riding, right? So, or they talk to media. Well, I have no poker face. I have zero poker face. I can't talk to media. That's a bad idea. They're just going to smell. Well, Jesus Christ, they're dead. There's that guy. I can't lie well. I'm just terrible. So Festick and I just sat in a room. We literally ordered a bucket of beer to the room. We just sat in the room, and we were supposed to write 2 speeches, a victory speech and a concession speech. We never wrote the victory speech. We couldn't bring ourselves to write the victory speech. It's harder to write the victory speech than the concession speech. So we just sat there and drank beer and wrote the speech and, tried to not look at each other. Who wants to see that fucking loser looking at you? So we just, it's grim. It's not a good feeling.
But it isn't too late to do anything, as Jenny says.
No, you're right.
I think this is Jenny talked about what she did in 2015. I think this is a day later than we put the abortion spot on in 2006. Day or two later. Can't remember whether it was Thursday or Friday.
I think it was 4 days to go.
Went on the air. Right. But I don't know what that play would be for them. I don't know what they would say at this point.
You can't play a card on vaccines right now, I don't think, right? Were you with me on TV yesterday? No, Jenny, you weren't. We did see TV yesterday. I was Tom McLaren and I were talking, and I was kind of laughing with Tom. I was like, it's so terrible doing news conferences right now when you're a leader, right? Because all they're asking you is to handicap your own race. So what mistakes do you think you made? Or do you think you're winning? Or what went right? What went wrong? And
they want to turn you into an analyst of your own campaign.
And it's just no good. No good. So what do you do? I mean, if you're the Conservative campaign, you can't flip-flop on vaccines now. You can't do anything on vaccines. You got no card to play there. You're trying your best to talk about this week's inflation numbers. It has to be an offensive play, not a defensive play. It has to be an offensive play. Right? I mean, Trudeau has to be an axe murderer.
Well, we've seen Aaron starting to say this, but I think it's been too late. If you dislike Justin Trudeau and you fucking hate this guy, you vote for me. I'm the only guy that can the only person standing on stage here, if you're at the debate or what have you, is the only person that can beat Justin Trudeau to be prime minister is me. So if you dislike this guy, and a lot of you do for different reasons, it's me. He's starting to say that, but he needed to be saying it for the entire campaign. Like that should have ultimately been his only message. Fuck the I'm a man with the plan and all that kind of stuff. It should have been, it's me or him. So I may leave a little bit of a bad taste in your mouth, but it doesn't matter because I'm the only guy that can beat Justin Trudeau, and you fucking hate Justin Trudeau.
How much, if you're the Conservative campaign, do you try to pick up on the Spadina Fort York thing? Am I saying that backwards? Is it Fort York Spadina or
Spadina Fort York?
Right. So how much do you pick up on that, or does that just push voters to the NDP, or do you not care? At least gives you a talking point that isn't about yourself and vaccinated.
Yeah, you can say it. I'm not sure. Like David, you can disagree. I'm not sure it matters at this point.
Well, I'm a little cheesed off about the whole thing because it's my riding.
It's my riding too. It's my riding too, but it doesn't affect me like it does you.
Well, you got a ballot to contend with, right? Or have you?
Yeah, I've already voted. I already voted Conservative.
I'm supposed to vote for this joker on Monday, and maybe I'll pause on that. I don't know, but the
pause.
Well, I mean, what can that story do? I mean, it's baffling to me. There's some backstory we don't understand about why Trudeau suddenly takes this different approach to sexual harassment allegations, and why, whether it's the military or this one. But I think it's too late to string all that together for people now into some story that makes sense. I mean, if all the previous things haven't made people like the National Defense, DND, and all that stuff, if that hasn't gotten people riled up about this issue, I don't think this candidate won.
But the story on this is actually not an indictment on DND on this one. It's not like kind of what we've been looking at with Vance. He neglected. He's a reservist and neglected to tell DND that he had been charged with some form of sexual assault, harassment, whatever it is. And if you're a reservist, you have to actually like you have to tell the status to the military. So this is, to be fair to D&D, this is not actually a D&D scandal.
Yeah, no, I wasn't actually making that point. What I'm saying is I don't think you can convince ordinary people that Trudeau isn't a feminist. I think he's more of a feminist than any man they know. So you can't.
Well, that's actually not.
Adds up.
It's. They might think that, but that's actually bullshit. He's absolutely not a feminist.
Can the NDP like hammer away on 2 days and say, like, I've been trying to tell you guys, right, that you can't count on Trudeau, that he's not really in your corner, and you can keep him on the tightest possible leash. Like, if you're the NDP, do you start saying these next 2 days, Trudeau is going to win, and your job is to keep him on the tightest possible leash, and so do so. And this is evidence as to why you need him on that leash. Because you can't trust him to do the right thing. Like, do they try to make that argument as opposed to, and I'm not actually one of those guys that's all over like, oh, the handstands and skateboarding, how frivolous. I don't know. I mean, the guy, like, you know, I thought it was all fine. It's a final weekend.
They're in good shape.
Yeah.
They're in good shape.
They got a little
Their
mode.
vote has held in Ontario and has grown out west. And and the Conservatives now fading. That's a perfect constellation for them to hold on, if not grow their vote. The argument you're talking about is the perfect one.
Yeah.
Well, listen, we'll see. I just pulled up. So in the last federal election, Adam Vaughan won with 56% of the vote, and the Dippers got 20% of the vote. Conservatives got 18% of the vote. That's a lot of, like, that is a huge margin to make up. And mind you, the Dippers won this provincially. Like, I think you guys will win it back probably next year, but provincially the Dippers did win this one in 2018.
Why, if you're the Liberal campaign, why wouldn't you say, you know what, if this guy's elected, he's going to have to sit as an independent. We don't want any truck or trade with the guy. He obviously was not fulsome with us when it came to the Greenlight Committee in terms of disclosing his past. And even if these charges were dismissed, and even if the true story is that there's actually nothing to it, there's a complicated backstory and there's nothing to it. He had an obligation. He had a proactive obligation to disclose. He didn't do it to us. He didn't do it to DND. And therefore, if the guy wins, we can't take him off the ballot. The guy wins. He sits as an independent. Wouldn't you be in a stronger position to make that argument this weekend? Or does it just not matter?
Well, I don't know. I mean, when I was talking about the NDP, I was talking broader than just that riding.
Yeah.
I mean, if you look at their situation going into the last weekend, they are a bigger threat to the Liberal vote than the Conservatives are at this point. And you know, assuming that the desire not to hand a big gift wrap present to Justin Trudeau still exists in the electorate, the NDP are perhaps better positioned to now deny Trudeau his majority than the Conservatives are.
No, but who could deny the majority could end up being the People's Party. Like, if the Conservatives are at the numbers that they are now, it's not that they're not just eating into the Liberal vote, David. They've lost a significant amount of their vote to the People's Party, and it goes back to, I'm gonna sound like the broken record. This is not people that are just protesting lockdowns and mandatory vaccines. These are people like I had a friend send me a picture from his parents' house in Stouffville. I think I sent it to you guys on our WhatsApp group yesterday. And there's 6 PPC signs on a radically normal suburban street. And so the Conservatives almost have it worse than what the Liberals do. The Liberals are actually, any of these vote splits or weird things happening help them. The collapse of the Green Party and the increase in the PPC helps the Conservatives. Sure, the NDP are staying where they have been, depending on the poll, but it's those factors that are going to be bigger factors for this election.
I was just thinking that normally I think the NDP are up 2 points in Ontario. And normally, if that was happening at this stage of a campaign, that would be terrible news for the Liberal Party.
But I think they're up more than that. Yeah. What did they get in Ontario during the last election? I don't think it was 20%. I think it was like in the teens. Yeah. So the fact that 16, they're at 20, the fact that they're at 22%, that's astronomical.
Yeah. All right, guys. Got a curse to finish this off?
Well, I guess my curse is a curse / hey you, whatever, to the Conservative campaign. And right now, I am sure they are sitting and they are upset about a whole host of things. The reflection onto campaigns comes after. It's not when you're in it, as we know. It's too raw when you're in it. But what they should do is completely stop blaming people for where they're at. They are where they're at based on the decisions that they have made throughout the course of this campaign. So the only thing they can do is what I have said before, is to go seat by seat and try to make sure that they keep as many seats as possible, and in certain circumstances pick up seats. But that is the only thing that you can do. So the time for the postmortem will come in the weeks to come. The time for you guys taking responsibility for the decisions that you have made during this campaign will come. But the only thing that you can do right now is to try to keep your seats.
Okay. My curse is to the Liberal campaign, and my curse to the Liberal campaign is do not, in these final couple days, Lisa Hanthorn this thing. Now, you're probably wondering, who is Lisa Hanthorn? And Lisa,
I am.
Well, Lisa Hanthorn went to grade 6, 7, and 8 with me. She's from Carrying Place in Prince Edward County. And
You're going to like this story, Scott.
I was in love with Lisa Hanthorn. And for much of grade 6, much of grade 7, much of grade 8, I would ask her, this is the language we employed at that point. I'd ask her if she would go with me. Like, I'm going with Lisa Hanthorn. Are you going with Lisa Hanthorn? No, I'm going with Beth Redner. Okay, well, I want to be going with Lisa Hanthorn. So
Not going around? Not going around.
Just going. We're going together.
Oh,
so I would say to Lisa Hanthorn, quite frequently, I would say, like, you don't want to go with me. Would you like to go with me? And she would say no. And then I'd be crushed. And so this went on and on and on and on until the final days of grade 8, when the weather turned pleasant. And just because of the trick of bus schedules and stuff, we would spend some time together after school, and we might walk down to Roblin Lake. And, and I thought to myself, holy smokes, it's starting to come together. I think it's coming together. And I permitted my brain, my dumb Scott brain, to think, Lisa Hanthorn and I are going to start going together. We're going to start going together. Worse than that, in the very final, maybe the last day of school even, I turned to my buddy Scotty Falls and I said, it's really cooking. I think maybe Lisa Hanthorn and I are going to start going together over the summer. And of course, when I finally screwed up the courage to ask her if we could go together, she said no. And so I'm saying to the Liberal campaign, do not permit yourself to think about the word majority. Do not say the word majority. Don't even know the word majority. Tear that page out of your dictionary. Do not permit that word to exist for you for the next 2 days, because the surest way of not getting a majority is to think about it, talk about it, say it, dwell on it. Do not Lisa Hanthorn this thing. The word majority doesn't exist.
Excellent, both of you. My curse goes out to the people running the Conservative campaign. I've been the recipient of those kind of overnights. You're not as dumb, incompetent, and horrible at your jobs as you feel right now. And I know that to be true, because if that is true, then I am as dumb, incompetent, and horrible at my job as I have felt in those exact circumstances. There will be another day, and there are lots of reasons for why election results happen. It's not all on you. All right.
Good for you.
Special weekend edition of The Curse of Politics. We're obviously back on Monday morning. We'll have fresh data from Frank Graves and EKOS. Thank you, guys. We'll have Nick Taylor-Vasey back from Politico. Thank you, Nick. We'll have Tell Us back. Thank you to our presenting sponsor, Tell Us. And well, have a good weekend, you guys. Jenny, you're going to be door knocking?
I'm out on the doors today, so I'll send you guys some notes from the field.
Oh, frontline data.
Absolutely. All right. Take care. I think there's a chance we're going to see each other physically in the next few days. And won't that be fucking awesome?
I am so excited.
Very pumped. Yeah. Very pumped. Yeah. Nick thinks he's hungover. We'll show Nick what hungover looks like.
All right, you guys. Love you. See you Monday morning.